Welcome to Mineral Talks Live, the monthly live mineral webinar that brings you in-depth and in-person interviews with mineral people from around the world. Mineral Talks Live is brought to you by a joint effort among the Mineralogical and Geological Museum at Harvard University, the SMMP, and BlueCap Productions. Tune in on the first Wednesday of every month and stay connected to your mineral world. Now, broadcasting live from beautiful Honolulu, Hawaii, the land of aloha, ukuleles, and shakas, this is Mineral Talks Live. Hello everybody, and a heartfelt aloha to all of you tuning in to our show. Today is Wednesday, June 1st, 2022, and welcome to the summer. I'm your host, Brian Sabota, the president of BlueCap Productions, and together with my partners, Dr. Raquel Alonso Perez from the Mineralogical and Geological Museum at Harvard University, and Dr. Eloise Gaillou from the Society of Mineral Museum Professionals, also known as the SMMP, we want to welcome you to Mineral Talks Live. Now, for those of you joining us for the first time, Mineral Talks Live is the monthly mineral talk show where we sit down with people from all facets of the mineral world to learn more about what they do and who they are. Our guests include some of the best curators, collectors, dealers, miners, researchers, artists, and media people in the mineral world. For a complete list of all of our past guests and links to those interviews, visit the URL at the bottom of the screen. Now, if you enjoy our show and you want to keep it going, go ahead and click the subscribe button below and be sure to tell your friends about us. As you know, one thing about this show that makes it unique is that this isn't just a conversation between me and our guests. All of you get to be part of the show by participating through the chat or the Q&A feature, both of which are located at the bottom of your Zoom window. The chat feature allows you to type messages to everyone watching the live show, and as we're all about community, when you first sign on, go ahead and fire off a hello to everyone telling us where you're from. Also, if you have general thoughts or comments during the show, this is where you can post them and interact with each other while we're talking. Usually our guests and I aren't able to read those comments, but Raquel and Eloise will be very active in the chat area and may even interject a question or two to us during the interviews. Now, if you have a general question you're dying to ask our guests, but it's a bit off the topic of what we're discussing at the moment, feel free to type your question into the Q&A section, and we'll do our very, very best to get to that at the end of the show. Finally, at about 40 minutes into the program, you may see a little window pop up on the screen asking a bunch of questions for our Quickfire 5 segment. This is where we get to see how well you know our guests, and yes, we play along too, because we're not even sure of all the answers to the questions we ask. Now, before I start the show, I want to share a little story with all of you. On August 26, 2022, many of you were with us as we did a live interview with Salim Edeh, who is the founder of the MIM Museum in Beirut, Lebanon. It was an incredible program where we went into the museum to see all the fantastic exhibit cases and minerals that Salim has on display. Not long after we completed the show, we also posted a 17-minute video entitled 99 Specimens from the MIM Museum. Now, as the name implies, this video shows off 99 photos of different specimens from the MIM Museum. These were photos that Salim sent to us for the show, so after the show, we ended up putting them together into one video and adding some music. It was nice eye candy, but not terribly helpful in terms of educating people on what the specimens were. Nevertheless, thousands of people watched it, everybody seems to have enjoyed it, and we got lots of great comments on it. Then, about a month ago, I was contacted by a lady in Brooklyn, New York, who was so inspired by the video that she decided to use it as an opportunity to educate herself. She told me that she had created a list of every single specimen in the film and asked me if I would like a copy of it. Of course, I said yes, so this is what she mailed me. Now, she also sent me a letter, and I would like to read that letter to you right now. Here's the actual letter. So she writes, "Dear Brian, here's the answer to what are they? The enclosed list was the result of a self-imposed challenge to find them all. After weeks of poring over endless video visits and a limited MIM website, a friend suggested the MIM Facebook page. Sure enough, one can scroll through every specimen along with all the details. Took 3 nights to find them all. Kudos to Mr. Salim Edeh, Mineral Talks Live episode 13, for his wonderful collection, as well as his generosity for sharing them free with everyone around the globe. Do with the list what you will. This Granny Gem Geek learned a ton and is content. Sincerely, Barbara Ettinger, PSCU at Mineral Talks Live on May 4th. Now, so the second I got this letter, I knew exactly what I had to do. I had to create a new version of the 99 Minerals video with on-screen titles for every mineral. Of course, in the opening credits, I will give full recognition to Barbara for being the inspiration behind the new idea, and that will be coming soon. But there's one more thing to this story. I sent a copy of the letter and the pages to Salim just to see his reaction, and he was blown away. I then asked if a member of his museum team could review the list and check it for accuracy. Carol Atala from the MIM Museum got back to me. She was also enthusiastically impressed by Barbara's work. She checked every entry and made 2 small corrections, as well as filling in one of the blanks, and then emailed me an Excel spreadsheet of the information back to me. Saved me a ton of time in post-production. So, Barbara Ettinger, also known as Granny Gem Geek, if you're watching today's show, know that everyone at the MIM Museum was completely blown away by this incredible piece of work you did. And to show his appreciation, Salim Ede has personally invited you and a guest of your choosing to come to the MIM Museum in Beirut at your earliest convenience. Furthermore, Salim has offered to pay for your entire trip. So Barbara, let's talk and let's figure out when would be the best time for you. Also, if you'd like, I'd be happy to join you on the trip to document the adventure. And I wanted to share that story with everyone as an outstanding example of how this incredible world of minerals is built upon the people who populate it. It's all of us working together as a family. And on behalf of the Mineral Talks Live team, we're all proud to be a part of it. So thank you, Barbara, and thank you, Salim and Carol, for giving us yet another great mineral story. And speaking of great mineral stories, today's guest is one of the great mineral storytellers of all time. His YouTube page is chock full of videos of him traveling all over the world and sharing his adventures with us online. He's a staple at the biggest mineral shows in the world. He's perhaps the world's most knowledgeable man on gems from Myanmar. And in fact, the Mineralogical Record even calls him the Mogok Connoisseur. And by the way, if you haven't picked up this issue of the MinRec, you're really missing out on an outstanding 128-page article on Mogok. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting the man who likes to start all his videos with, "Hello, my dear friends," and whose favorite line is, "Bry, bry, bry. This is Mission Impossible." Mr. Federico Barlocher. Hello, Federico. How are you?
Oh, my pleasure to be here. My pleasure to share together super news and information that can help everybody.
I love it.
About the gems and minerals, not only minerals, because minerals are strictly connected with gems.
Absolutely. They're kissing cousins. Now, Federico, before we get too deep into that, every show I like to ask our guests how they first got involved in the mineral or gem world. So now it's your turn. How did you first get exposed to minerals or gemstones, and how old were you?
Mama is a simple story. I was about 10, 11 years, and my mother was a passionate student. I can say student. Now I know clearly that was a student of gems, looking books nighttime. When my father was sleeping, she was looking book of gems. So she bought a weight machine, a gauge to measure. So some small basic instrument, because she got this passion. And I was looking my mother, and step by step, they carry me to see jewels. They carry me to see a small crystal show that even in this period in the Alps was well known, the quartz of the Alps. And step by step, I started to take passion. And at the age of 15, I was exchanging minerals. And step by step, I grow year by year with this fever, because it's a virus.
It's a virus.
It's a virus for sure. But all the dealers are in part collectors, because Sometimes you have to work hard, even 20 hours per day, and you can do only if you have a passion. So most of the dealer anyway have passion and they like minerals. Me, after I was involved in gems because is even a deeper passion. But these happened step by step. My first, I want to show, this is very interesting. I have here, I can show. Look, this is the Bible of the books. Is still my mother present.
Oh, wow.
Still is 1,400 page. And still after 60 years, because this was printed in 1960, I can consider a Bible because there are huge information, even if are updated, but correct information. This was, the name is Gemology, built by Cavenago Bignani, and is a famous book. And I was dreaming here. You see here, this page. This page, yeah. There was the page, an antique design of the Valley of Rubies. That in this, you see, this is an old photo. Yeah. It's like the people that collect the rice, but these are rubies researcher. And in this book, in this page, there was write the name, not Mogok, but Mogok, because different spelling. And this, push my fantasy, my dream to go one day to this location. And after 10 years of trying, I approached finally to Myanmar. And I took other 10 years to go to Mogok. So it was a long process with a long fever that still there is today in my... So basically, I'm a collector.
So Federico, how old were you when you first entered Mogok?
When I entered Mogok first, I was 30-something years, okay. 30 years, about 30 years in Mogok. In Myanmar, I entered 10 years before because I was probably the first people allowed to go in Mogok immediately when there was a chance to, with a special permission and garb that follow you 24 hours because they didn't want that you was buying at that time or collecting for yourself or whatever it is, but the government didn't want. So they start to release very few permission at the beginning. But before was absolutely closed. I mean, for 10 years, I tried all the way and there was no chance because there was the Ne-Win government that take full control of the mines. And so there was no idea to open to foreigner people.
Now, Federico, many years ago when we were filming the Mogok movie, I visited your home in Yangon. And at the time, I believe you told me that you were the only Westerner who was allowed to have purchased a home in Myanmar. Is that still true?
No, when at the beginning with friendship, probably I was the only one, not probably, for sure, the only one people living there. Purchasing, there was also buying people illegally because to move gems is not too complicated. So there was some people coming to Yangon and buying under the table important rubies. This was the only way in this period to buy. Or there was the possibility to buy in the auction because Myanmar was doing 2 times a year the auction for gems, and this was official buying with papers, document, a complicated road to buy in this way, plus the price, everything was overpriced. So practically no one foreigner was buying from the official auction. The most of the buyer of the official auction was the same owner of the mines that because they got a share with government at 50%, so they have 50% of the mines, they was buying back their item at 50% discount. So the highest offer was coming from the local people. This was the game at that time in the auction.
Sure, sure. Now, Federico, when I was with you in Italy, I was lucky enough to be able to handle and film the King of Mogok. And so here's a photo of me actually filming the King of Mogok. And this is perhaps the finest ruby matrix specimen in the world. You know, you've let me play around with huge Ural emerald specimens during the Sainte Marie Almine show. I've seen the fantastic Mellow pearls that you used to bring to the Munich show, the fantastic jade specimens you've brought to Tucson, and I know you've sold some of the most unique amber specimens ever seen. So your credentials as a dealer are certainly solid. But if people look at the many, many travel videos you've posted on your YouTube channel, as well as all the posts you do in your Facebook group, Scamologist, they'll see that not only are you a dealer of exquisite products, but that you are also like an educator. Yeah. So for me, this became even more apparent when we were working together on the film Mogok, the Legendary Valley of Rubies. And for those who haven't seen it, this is the latest production that BlueCap Productions has produced in conjunction with Federico Barlocher. So Federico, talk to me about this, about this educational direction, because this is certainly a real big part of what drives you.
Especially in the last years, because with the age, it's beautiful also to share with other people. I never consider myself a teacher because the process to learn is continuous. So like children, I continue to learn every day to improve myself. So my idea is not to teach because I don't want to be a teacher. My idea is to share the experience, why I do. It's not a question of business. For me, the road to learn was very complicated and difficult because the field, especially the field of gems, is a secret field that the people that they know something, they keep for themselves because they are afraid that somebody steal what they know. Right. But with the years, I realized that the best way is to give more information you give, more you share, and more people love, this field and take the virus. It's like to transfer the virus to other people. And these are the more enthusiastic people after that. They become even customer or not, but they are the most enthusiastic people that they will stay all their life in this field. That till today, for me, I continue to learn, and for everybody is the same. There are so many things to know that is not enough one life to learn everything. Sure. So every day is different. Every day you learn something new. And even if I travel all around the world in plenty of mining and remote location, still today I continue to adjust a small detail and to learn something new that before I didn't know. So this is the magic point of this hobby, because at the end, the crystal is a hobby more than a business. Gems is much more wide, much more diffuse, because there is the fashion, there are the women that use jewelry, so it's 100 times or much more than 100 times more diffuse than minerals. But minerals is art. Mineral is like paintings. So mineral have their own secret and their own attraction that sometimes is even better than a gem, because mineral are the art of the nature, and you cannot have two mineral exactly the same. And this is unique from my point of view.
Well, you bring up an interesting point when you compare the minerals or the crystals to the cut stones and the jewelry, and kind of going back to your Scamologist Facebook group, one topic that comes up over and over is the topic of certification. Now, sometimes in the mineral world, it feels a bit like the Wild West, and maybe there's in terms of, has a specimen been repaired? Where did it really come from? Has it been altered? And so I can't help but think that maybe there's a bit of envy when it comes to the certification process that exists in the gem world. But as you often point out on your Facebook group, maybe it's not always a case of the grass being greener on the other side. So talk to us about the certifications and how this has changed over the years.
This is a very, very delicate point that few people want to speak about that in a clear way, because there are $1 million interest inside this game. And theoretical, because the market of gems is much more wider, the growth of gem lab was a need to support the final customer, because the final customer is not normal, is not so expert, and they don't know everything. So they must have an independent part that give some basic suggestion or some basic things that they can trust. Because the dealer is the seller, so the dealer have his own interest. So the buyer prefer to rely in something that is not the dealer itself, but need a confirmation from an independent source. Independent is a lab. This was true a long time ago, or partially true. Today, the lab is not nice to say, but is the reality. All the lab, not one lab, are part of the business, so they become dealer themselves. And there are many questions at which level they can protect the buyer, because sometimes they damage more than protect. So the only way to not to survive, but to grow in this passion, in this hobby, or in this business, is to build a personal knowledge. And it's a long process, but is the only way. Labs help if they work well, for sure. In the mineral business, still there are no labs. For a simple reason, not because the mineral business don't need of labs. Also, the mineral business theoretical need the labs because need an independent trust. But the mineral business is still small compared to the gem business. So it was not yet arrived the moment where the economical interest make necessary to build labs to give guarantee to the customers. So this is the point. But with the new labs preparation that have nothing to do with the labs certification, the labs that prepare the crystals, so probably in the short future, will start even labs that give a certificate. Today, they don't call anymore certificate, they call a report, just for not have a legal problem.
When did that change from a certificate to a report?
But allora, theoretical, even today, we can use, not theoretical, practical, the lab can use the word certificate, because there are no rules for the labs. There is not an association that oblige to use some terms or other terms. So they can use the word certificate. But in the past, everything or the few labs, they was using the word certificate. Mm-hmm. But because labs make many mistakes, and some customer catch this mistake and carry the labs to the court, with the word certificate, legally, the labs is responsible of what they say, because they certificate something. The change of the word report enter in a new dimension of the lab, where report is like an opinion that I report to you, you can report to another people. So when you go to the court, there is absolutely zero value, and the judge immediately dismisses the case.
So it reduces or eliminates liability.
Yes, so this is why all the labs today, if you check the labs that certify, in reality, they call a report, and they say that they have no responsibility, and what they say are only opinion. Sure, but sure. When they are opinion, after a part of these scientific facts is missed, because it's the opinion based on scientific idea. So it's very complicated. About the certification. We can speak days and days. I can give information, but it's really an unclear field.
Okay, but it all comes back to knowledge. And to me, one of the locales that you're most famously associated with and knowledgeable about is Burma, or Myanmar as it's now called, especially when it comes to the Valley of Mogok, which is on the photo behind you when we were in the helicopter. Now, this is the source of the finest rubies in the world. How did you first get involved with Myanmar? And tell us a little bit about the future of the country.
In this book that I showed before, that have thousands, you have to imagine the fantasy and the imagination of the child. So this book that have 1,400 pages, only for ruby from Mogok, there are 100 pages. I mean, even in the past, the dream of rubies is not only in the books. You can see in the crown of the Russian Tsar, in the crown of England, everywhere the ruby is the symbol of power, the symbol of people that are in charge, is the blood, is the winner. So, and technically speaking, is by far the most expensive mineral to find, by far. So there are involved 1 million people in the search of ruby, but few good rubies come out. So it's a blend of things that make a ruby a class itself in the world of minerals. This is a part of the dream. After there is the promotion of these famous jewels, where ruby, even in the history, I remember 50 years ago when I started, they were selling, the ruby cost more than diamond, because it's true, ruby cost more than diamond. So these build the fantasy. And also Myanmar, imagine 50 years ago or 45 years ago, in the fantasy of children, Myanmar, you don't even know where it is in the map, in the geography, because even today, if you go in Europe, few people, when you say Myanmar, so it's like a secret treasure to discover, something like that. And in fact, is the only location in the world still today that have 500,000 people working only for gems. So it is the Mecca for any gemologist in the world dream to go to Mogok. It's like for a Muslim to go to the Mecca. And for a gemologist to go to Mogok is the Mecca. Is the top location in any dreams. And also for many years was completely closed, and this increased the dream of the ruby. So is a blend of factors that make Mogok in the top of the hill.
Well, now Mogok is closed once again. What can you share with us in terms of what's going on there and what's the potential future of it opening up again?
Now, for me, but I say openly without any personal interest, I say what is the reality. Today, unluckily, there is a difficult civil war in Myanmar, very difficult, and they are truly fighting in all the country. The civilian with the military is not my point in enter in political question, because we are speaking about minerals, but because we are speaking about minerals and gems, I don't see future for Mogok. Because most of the workers, there was 400,000 workers in the mines, they ran away and they returned to the original village. And even Mogok people, some Mogok people go out to Mandalay or to Yangon. So first have to finish the war. And this can be a long story. And even when it's finished the war, to rebuild what is lost now, I don't know if it's possible. because to restart the mine, to reopen the mine, to refine the investors, to refine the workers is really a complicated issue. And I think we will not see anymore the Mogok that we was lucky to see in the last 40 years. And the last 40 years was by far the best years for Mogok in the history of Mogok. Not because the people think that the best gems was old gems. It's not true. In the last 40 years, the production, the machine, the work involved in the Mogok mines was so high, and the technology improved. So they found that the best gems ever found in Mogok are for sure in the last 40, 50 years of work. And about that, I have absolutely no doubt, because I got the chance, luckily, to see the most beautiful rubies ever come from this location.
Well, now, Federico, you are the owner of one of the greatest matrix ruby specimens ever, the King of Mogok. It's hard for people to look at this and to get an idea of what the size of this is. So why don't you show us, using your hands, what the size of the overall specimen is and the size of the crystal?
The size is about a 10 centimeter, a little less than 10 centimeter, and 4 and 5 wide, depending from the angle. Which is nearly 2,000 carat. But this is not really the size, because I saw even in my life rubies in a bigger size. There are things that make this specimen completely different from the other, from the luster, the sharp corner, the texture of the material, because for ruby is enough a little better translucency. We are not speaking about gem quality, because don't exist in ruby, especially in this size. Is only a dream in the books, but in reality, when you find a 5-carat ruby that is the size of my nail, even smaller than my nail, you make $1 million. So crystal in a gem quality don't exist. But a little change in translucency make a huge difference, not for me, like collector, but for the miners, that they can catch much more money. So ruby, you need a school beside all the other minerals to understand the rarity and the value of ruby.
Now, Federico, tell me a little bit about the history of the King of Mogok. Like, do you know what mine it came from, and how did you acquire it? When did you acquire it? Give us, kind of fill in some of those blanks.
It was possible to acquire 30 years ago, and I took from a mine that I don't want to say, because there are not even names, but the location was Bopadan. And they show me, not in Myanmar, because I didn't even know. They make me a telephone call, and they offer me in Bangkok. So at this time, I didn't even know who was the owner or whatever it is, because they wanted to have more privacy, to make the deal in a different way, and was more safe for everybody. But also the king, when was discovered, was not in this condition. Only one face of the crystal was, two faces of the crystal was exposed. And after, in the lab, we expose the maximum beauty of this mineral. And I was really shocked, because I saw really thousands and thousands of crystal of any kind and shade of color about ruby. And this in all the category is on the top. And I'm sure, but I don't say about, because belong to my collection, I'm sure is by far the best. Also because in the last 50 years, nobody around the world was able to show something better. It's very simple. there is a huge competition in the mines. If something better come out, immediately the market know. So there was no one able to show a crystal with better size or qualities. There is another point to consider that people don't know. That 30, 40, and 20 years ago, there was more chance to find the crystals because the miners was breaking the calcite with hammers. Today, the miners, to process more ruby, they broken the calcite with crushing machine. So the crushing machine destroy the 99% of the crystals. So the possibility today to find a high quality, big size crystal is quite nearly zero. I mean, it's very little or remote.
Gotcha. Now, Federico, I know that even though Mogok is closed, you have some new pieces that you said you were going to share with us on the show. What do you have there?
The situation today is like that. Mogok is closed because they are fighting, really fighting. I mean, many Mogok people unluckily lost their life because there is a war, but they have to survive. So there are still some illegal miners that scratch the surface because they have no instrument. And this illegal miner, they find something, but not crystal. I found a crystal in this moment for a simple reason, because some of my friends collect previously per years for themselves, and they keep some piece like security, because Mogok people, they don't keep money, they keep gems and crystals like safety. So now with the war arrived the moment that they need money, and they sold the old collection piece, because these are not a new piece.
Gotcha. So they're pieces that are coming out of private collections because they need some kind of fiscal aid during the Civil War.
We call private collection, but is the way how they keep the money. Instead to keep the cash that is danger, they prefer to keep gems or crystals. So when they don't need money, they keep. When they need money, and with the war arrived the occasion that many people need money. So of course. No new production, because they are not broken in the calcite with dynamite. Mostly are working in secondary deposit, but they reappear on the market all piece that was hidden by the miners.
Okay, so let's see some old pieces that were hidden by the miners.
Some old piece to give you an idea, and okay. Where I see the camera, I don't see myself.
A little down. Yep, a little closer to you. Yeah, there we go.
This to show that, you see, the light
passes it out a little bit too much.
Yes, I go like this.
Yeah.
You see that top. You see, this is a crystal. All these pieces are never cleaned. So it means all this part must be clean, must be open. They never pass to the lab. This is exactly how they are found in the mine. I show another one. Also, this is huge. You see that.
A little higher. Oh yeah, look at that. Bring the specimen up a little bit, Federico. Yeah, allora,
you see this. Now cannot see well the crystallization because I put the lab, but here you can see the crystallization is perfect. Here there is some calcite to remove with the sandblast in the lab, to trim, I have to expose more the crystal.
And you know, I think it's important that the viewers understand that these rubies that grow in the marble, it's not like a pegmatite. There are no veins that you follow. You basically have to crush down all of this marble and hope that you find a ruby before it gets crushed. And there's no other way. There's no telltale signs other than just crushing through it?
There are some minerals like mica. They give some indication that you are in a part of the mountain, so you are not there is not a vein. We cannot say vein, but when you see some type of minerals, you know that close is possible to find rubies, but random. So there is not like you go in a pegmatite of tourmaline and you find a clear indication with tourmaline that like they tell you the direction where there will be possibly the pocket. And the pocket is a hole for pegmatite minerals. For ruby and spinel is a marble, and the ruby is completely closed inside the marble. So you have to destroy mountain of marble to find rubies. But to destroy mountain of marble, you have to, broken also the ruby most of the time, right? Because you broken the calcite, but you broken the ruby too. But there is no other way. This is the only way. And this is the reason why rubies are so expensive, because the work is something unbelievable. It's by far the most expensive mineral.
Yeah, it's interesting to point out that when Federico and I first started talking about making this film, Mogok, the Legendary Valley of Rubies, the pitch that Federico approached me with, which really caught my attention, was, Brai, what if we tell them at the beginning that rubies are $1 million a carat, and at the end of the movie we tell them that this is cheap and they understand? And to me that was incredible, that you could pay $1 million a carat for a cut ruby, and it seems very expensive, but at the end of the film you realize, wow, that's really not expensive at all, because of the amount of work that needs to be done, because of the entire mountain that needs to be taken down to find the ruby.
But this point that we was discussing together with fun, you understand only if you have access to such location and you go around to many mines in the world. So you can compare the amount of work used in each mine, and the amount of work represents a value. So if you go to see a Tanzanite mine in Arusha, you see how many people are involved, how much costs the mine. And so basically, this will be also the cost of the final product. So most of the time, for gems, because mines are open for gems, not for crystal. Very few mines in the world are exclusive to find the crystals. Normally, they open mine to find gems, and crystal is a byproduct, is the second, third choice, is not the first choice.
Right.
So the point that the value of a gem and the value of the crystal in the long time period is absolutely connected with the cost of work. Unluckily for mineral, there is also an aesthetic point of view, trend of the market, pushing of the dealer. Each dealer try to sell their items, is normal, is nothing bad. So there are trend of the market, and some very common minerals that have a low cost to find out at the end cost a lot, like crystal, because there is aesthetic, there are the colors. But in reality, if we want to see which kind of crystals will keep a value in long term, are the crystal where the cost is connected to the value of the specimen.
Mm-hmm. So it becomes harder for new crystals to come out like that.
Yes, at the end, they follow the gem business. So ruby, sapphire, emerald, spinel, tourmaline, and after all decrease. Minerals like fluorite that personally I like, are beautiful, and I have nothing against fluorite because aesthetically nice, but they are so common and the cost is much lower because much less people are involved. I mean, to find a good emerald or a good ruby, maybe there are 500,000 people that work for one piece. So when you see 500,000 people working and they ask you $1-2 million, you understand that it's a cheap cost. It's not high cost. But no, maybe for a fluorite, they work 5 people. 5 people will find a little, and the cost will be little. So cannot at the end keep the value in the long time, because in the moment that a lot of people will go to search for fluorite, will arrive out a so big amount of fluorite in the market that the price will drop itself.
Absolutely. Federico, I know you have some more pieces that you want to share with us, but maybe before we do that, or while we're doing that, Raquel could launch the poll. And so Federico, screen's going to come up, just ignore the screen, just keep doing what you're doing.
Okay, 1 second, I ignore the polls. This, you see, is another lovely ruby. I don't put the light. This is exactly how it come out from the mountain. This piece for sure didn't go in the crushing machine, but this was after the explosion with the dynamite inside the tunnel. So this is a part of dynamite marble that come out from the wall. Here is an exceptional piece. This is the best piece that probably I ever seen in, look at this. 1 second. I try to cover the light, but
too bright and it's too long.
Look at the quality.
There we go. Wow.
This is gem quality.
Wow.
This is something unique. This is without any light. If I put the light even on the calcite, you see, there's too much.
Yeah, the light just goes straight through it and it just glows. It overpowers the camera. But you could see right there the color, the clarity of it.
Crystallization also from the top.
Superb.
Without any light is translucent, even the calcite. This is another super piece, completely gem quality.
Wow.
These look like a tourmaline, but is a special peridot without even one inclusion. This is a rarity, but is something. There is another ruby. You see, when the skin is like that, the skin is shining, is sharp. These make the difference in quality to select rubies. Is enough a skin like that to give good feelings.
Now, Federico, what about the mother rock? Sometimes I've seen the calcite have a little bit of a blue tint to it. Why does that happen, and what does that mean?
Some location that they have a blue tinge, that but this is only for collectors that look from aesthetical point of view, because the blue and the red of the ruby are color that well match themselves. No, they can marriage together these two colors. So when the white calcite is little bluish and there is a ruby inside, make more nice contrast. So become aesthetically little more attractive, little after depend from the quality of the ruby, because the ruby make the 99% of the beauty. Right. But anyway, some color of calcite, some is yellowish in Mogok, some is, the majority is white, and some is light blue. So depending from the mother rock color can be a different combination.
Fantastic. Wow. And so do you have any other pieces that you have to share with us?
There are other pieces like this is another, like to show when it happened, you see. So this is complete, not chips, not repair. There is also mica, inside, and pyrite, because even pyrite is an indicator. You see, the ruby here in this case is very close to the pyrite.
Federico, Raquel here. This is more for educational purpose, but on a piece like that, what's the market value these days compared to even a cut ruby?
But I must understand the strategy. I mean, what want the miner? The miner wants simple. He have a job, he have a company, and he want money. So whatever he can take out from the mine in terms of ruby, for him is sellable. So there is a clear steps of what you can sell. I mean, if the miner find a small piece of glassy quality, he sell like gems at the highest price. If the piece have some inclusion or many inclusion, he start to ask the price of cabochon. If the piece have many inclusion and become translucent, he will ask the price of carving, because they make ruby carvings. And if the piece is very low quality, they make stone paintings. So they put rubies on the paintings and they make stone paintings. So nothing is lost. So if they find a crystal form, they say, okay, it's not a gem quality, but I have a crystal form, so I will put in a category of price to have the maximum price possible. And what is the maximum price possible? Is the price that in Mogok, to give you an example, there are 500,000 people and everybody is a buyer, because everybody is there only to buy and sell. So in one day, an owner of mine, if he show his piece on the market, he can receive easy 100, 200 offer of buying. So the people that pay her highest price become the new owner. So to tell to you, Raquel, a price is impossible, because depend from piece to piece, and you must have seen in your life millions of pieces to select the piece that you want to sell or to buy in a category of price. So you must have your own database inside your mind to understand what can be the right price on the market to sell back this piece. So it's impossible to give advice, because these belong to a personal experience. I wanted to suggest and to help, but this is only personal database.
Thank you. That's really, really helpful. It's really good to understand. It's very difficult, actually, to understand the whole process of buying and selling, especially in Burma. In Myanmar.
But it's not, I see, is the same about the same process in all the mines in the world. I went in Afghanistan, in Pakistan. The concept to sell is the same. Who give me the highest price? And why in the mines the things normally cost more? It's very simple, because there are more buyers. And the buyers compete each other to catch the piece, and so the price go up. It's like a private silent auction. And the people, I mean the collectors and the people that buy gems too, they don't understand, and they think that you go to the mines and you pay cheaper. No, you go to the mines, you pay higher. And they ask to me, but why you go to the mines? You go to the mines to have the chance to see the new production, to choose what you need for your customer. And this chance, most of the time, you don't have in other location. So in Mogok, you don't pay cheaper, but if appear the piece, even if you pay a high price, you have to jump on this piece, because you know that before or later will be somebody that pay a higher price than what you paid. So this is the reason why you go to the mines. And plus, you have to know how is the game, because the miners are gamblers. Sometimes they spend all the money in gambling, and in one day they need the money. If you are there and if you know that they need the money, so you can have a price that is much more reasonable, because you know that in this moment he's on need. But if he don't need, he wait till he can sell at the highest price possible, because he don't need money. So to the people that don't know, it look complicated. But when you go in the mines, in a few days, you understand how it works. Then when you look from outside, it look funny. It look, you are telling bullshit, it's impossible like that. When you go there, you understand that this is the reality. There was also Min that organized a trip on Mogok, no? Carry 20, 30 people to see. Nice looking, a nice view. Now is a nice field trip, because the location is fantastic. But all the people of the group was shocked about the price. They say, what, cost more than in Saint-Marie?
Yeah, no bargain.
Because it worked like that. So it's a kind of dedication. You must take a lot of time, be patient. In Saint-Marie, you buy in 10 minutes. In Mogok, to buy a piece, maybe you need 3 months. Or you buy in 1 hour because the people need money. So you must be flexible and understand what are the needs of the market in this moment. And the most important things, you must have knowledge, because it's not enough to have money. I saw plenty of gem dealers carry money to Mogok and lose everything because they don't have enough knowledge. And these people are not people not prepared. They are not, maybe they didn't go a high standard school, but the gems they know very well, because they eat a gem from morning to night. So the knowledge of gem is unbelievable. So when a buyer going Mogok is a victim, is not the knowledge people that go to the poor people to buy. He's the victim of the poor people, because the poor people, they know 10 times more than you. This is the reality. I took years also to learn this lesson. So every time that I go to the mines, any mines in the world, I go with a full respect and a very careful attitude, because it's 1 second to lose a lot of money, because when you shake your hand, deal done. So when it's not, I'm sorry, sorry can be a problem, can be true a problem.
And it's cash deal, it's got to be cash.
Cash, everything. This is another problem of gem and mineral market, that the miner have not computers to make invoice. Computers now they have, but they don't even know what is the word invoice.
Right. It's not part of their normal business.
Habit, tradition is not part of their knowledge. So give me a bag of cash, I give you the stone. But the world is not moving in this way today, because everybody wants an invoice, government to pay tax. So all the dealers become crazy to have some invoice, not to justify what they buy. And this is a huge complication, because it's an old world that don't want to meet the new world. The new world is going straight in this direction. This old world is the same.
And then I think you told me something that was kind of interesting, that if people from Myanmar want to buy airplane tickets to leave the country, they could only buy it using foreign currencies like American dollars. But it's illegal for them to have foreign currencies.
What happened? Now with the war, everybody play his game. The civilian try to win in their way, and the military try to control the civilian in their own way. So like 30 years ago, when there was 40 years ago, the socialist government of Ne Win, that have a full control on the people. The military want to control completely the people. So they make a new rule, but we are speaking about 1 month ago, that is illegal to keep dollars. Illegal. So if they catch you with dollar in the home, that till, 1 month ago was legal, for 25 years was absolutely legal, from now, from last month, who take dollars finish in the jail. So why? Because they want to clean all the dollars from the market to keep for themselves, no? And make some excuse to put somebody in the jail. So if they find a $10, but in the same time, if you want to buy a ticket plane to go back to, you want to go to Thailand, not to run away because you think it's dangerous to stay in Myanmar, you have to pay in dollars. So in one way, you cannot buy the ticket. In the other way, no, you cannot take the dollars. So whatever you do, you are wrong.
Right.
But this happen not only in Myanmar. I mean, happen when they are wars, no, war like that. Any excuse, you are never in the right way. They can find any excuse to treat you because it's the war that work like that. I give you a sample. Today, the war is an excuse for personal revenge. Because you cannot go to the court because the court is not working anymore. So some people that want to do personal revenge and have weapon go in the house of their enemy, they shoot and bye-bye. So because the war is like that, it's not Myanmar, it's everywhere.
Right.
So this is a bad thing. I feel down for the Myanmar people because are lovely people. Myanmar people, you was in Mogok, you see the people are happy and joyful, and the country that finish in the hell in this moment. So I don't know what will happen because it's not my point. No, it's not my mother country, but I lived there for so many years, and to see even friend of me in such condition, I feel really down. But this is the life. What I can do. It's not. There is no choice. It's like Mogok is closed, maybe closed forever. What we can do? Nothing.
Yeah, I think the film that we made, Mogok Legendary Valley of Rubies. I feel so fortunate that we were able to make that film because I think a film like this could never be made, at least in our lifetimes. We won't see the country open up again.
I don't want to enter in the detail, but some shooting was also unique when Mogok was open. Unique, no, not CNN, not the main media. Nobody have this shooting because for many reasons. It's not here the place to discuss about that. But the shooting was really exceptional. Plus, today is closed, and I believe quite impossible that return back like before. So from many point of view, this movie that, satisfy also only a niche of viewers because crystal and gem business, there is not like a video of Madonna. You put a video of Madonna, it's 30 million view immediately. We are a niche of the market. But in this niche is something really exceptional that I think will not return back. And this movie, in this regard, is really special.
Yeah, and I think you make a good point. When we filmed this, which was in 2013, the camera gear that I brought down, we didn't bring technically video cameras. We brought the main camera that I used was a Canon 5D Mark II, which was a digital SLR, a DSLR that was like one of the first ones that had video capabilities. So if we were stopped and we were questioned, we could have said, well, we're just taking photographs, we're not shooting a movie. So it was difficult then. I think it's impossible now.
Plus, because I told you which kind of flexible things to carry, because I have to move fast inside the tunnels in the mines. You took at the end a really good quality camera and the final product compared to all the other product on YouTube, because these films at the end go on YouTube, is really of high quality. I mean, the image of high quality. I publish in my personal channel a selection of the best 80 movie of mineral and gems on the full internet, but there is no one that arrived to this quality of image. I mean, there are many really lovely, well done, interesting video that I even me too, I learn from some of this video. Imagine I travel in all the mines, but still I learn some detail from this video. But your image, I think, is a pleasure to see. The quality of image. I mean, you can go in the detail and see the detail of the mines, the detail of the things. I mean, well done.
Thank you, Federico. It was an absolute pleasure to film that. I had so much fun. I learned so much. And for all you viewers out there, that is online for free, complimentary. Everybody can watch it. It's about an hour and 21 minutes, and you got to go into a bunch of mines. Hey, Federico, we're a little bit past our hour, so I'm going to jump to our next section, which is our Quickfire 5 questions. Now, what I'm going to do is I have 5 questions. Each question has 2 answers, and you have to choose which answer works best for you, which answer you like the best. Without thinking, you just respond. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. All the viewers have tried to predict what you're going to answer. You have all the correct answers. So I'm going to go for the 5 questions. Are you ready?
Yes.
Yes. Question number 1, Bangkok or Yangon?
Yangon.
Yangon. Hardly a pause there. Question number 2, amber or pearls?
Amber.
What was the answer? What was the answer?
Difficult. No, for me the same, but you want an answer, I give you amber. Amber, because is so funny. Is so funny this question, because this I still smiling. I found like a small crocodile. Is not a crocodile. Is an amphibious inside an amber, and with the support of Raquel, with the Harvard University, they found that there is a new species of amphibious of 100 million years. And so they give me the funny name of Barlocher Saurus. No, my family. So
you are officially a dinosaur.
I'm a crocodile, no? I'm a crocodile. I smile every time about
I love
that.
it.
For me, it's a curiosity. I never even think to sell this item, you understand? I keep like just the Barlochersaurus, like I'm 100 million years old.
I love it. Barlochersaurus, that's perfect. You know, pretty soon your last name is going to become a verb, much like Dave Wilbur's last name became a verb. Okay.
Saurus.
Yeah. Question number 3, gems or minerals?
Now minerals.
Wow, okay.
Because I'm in retirement, and minerals are the beauty of the nature.
Yeah.
I appreciate more now the beauty of the nature, the maximum design, art of the nature, than gems that are the maximum, are the heart of the crystal, because they are the heart of the crystal, but are the best of the man-made. So now I'm more connected with the nature. It's not a question that gems I don't like. I love gems. But with the age, I am more connected with the nature, organic food, just to survive, all these kind of things. So the mineral look to me like a beautiful art of nature. Something like that.
That makes perfect sense. I love it. Okay, question number 4. This is which movie series do you like? These are a movie series. Do you like the James Bond series or the Mission Impossible series?
James Bond. James Bond. Traditional. I start to be old. And so these are more attached to my era, to my age.
Yeah. Okay, final question. This is a tough one, so I hope you're ready for this. Are you ready? Are you seated? Yes, I think you're seated. Okay. Arby's or McDonald's?
None, what I have to say. None of both. So imagine one people that habit to eat organic, no, McDonald's.
So your answer is McDonald's. You got a great story about Arby's, but I'm not going to tell it here. I'm going to have people who see you at shows, they have to ask you, what is your story with Arby's? I love that. Okay. Eloise, do we have the answers from the viewers? Let's see how they did.
Yes, we do.
Terrific.
And we have a bunch of good questions afterwards. So Federico, stay with us because we have a bunch of questions from the public that we didn't get the chance to ask you earlier. So stick with us.
Oh, I love it. We're going to have a great Q&A session. Okay, question number 1, Bangkok or Yangon? Without hesitation, Barlocher chose Yangon. What did our viewers say?
Without hesitation, Yangon as well.
Wow, okay, good. 1 out of 1 so far. Question number 2, amber or pearls? Barlocher went with amber.
And our viewers too, amber.
I would have guessed pearls, but hey, I dig it. Gems or minerals? In a surprising upset, Barlocher went with minerals. What about our viewers?
Well, it was minerals as well, but it was a tight one. So, but still right.
3 out of 3 so far. Better movies, James Bond, or movie series, James Bond, or Mission Impossible?
Correct with James Bond.
James Bond.
Really amazing.
And the final one, Arby's or McDonald's? What did Barlocher went with McDonald's?
Ask an Italian guy about like American like fast food. That's not fair, Brian.
It's not fair. I have no
Arby's.
I have no answer because what I answer about that.
Okay,
you can't. Okay. I agree with you. I agree with you.
Can I tell the Arby story then?
Yes.
Okay. So one year, Barlocher was in Tucson and he had a horrible case of gout. And all night long, keeping all his friends awake. And it turned out because he was having, the story I heard is he had way too much steak. He came to Tucson and, did all this steak and all the red meat fired up his gout. It wasn't until about a year ago that I learned it wasn't like from going to Fleming's and having steaks. It was from eating Arby's every night.
So you catch the gout too?
No, I never caught it. My father had gout. I never caught it. Not yet, though. All right.
Actually, hello, Federico is Swiss. He's not really Italian. So
really? Okay.
Yeah, he's Italian, but he's Swiss. So asking that question is even worse.
All right, let's go to our Q&A. Federico, we got a bunch of questions from the viewers. Raquel, why don't you take it away?
Yes, and Elo, if I miss any, let me know if you saw any.
There was a good one in the chat as well.
Yes, I'm gonna start with that one. So there was a question in the chat about what's the average of how much rock is crushed up to find 1 carat gem quality ruby?
These we speak in terms of tons, but tons, not 10 tons. 1,000 tons. To find rubies is not too complicated. Average production or mining production of 500 people, we are speaking cost about $3 to $5 million per year cost. These are clean costs that the owner of the mine lose with 500 workers. The production average depends year from year, but we can say an average production is 3 to 7 kg. On these 3 to 7 kg, maybe only 1 piece is gem quality. We are not speaking about 1%, much, much less. But this 1 piece, if it's the right piece, cover the cost of all the mine, and plus they have profit. If they don't find this piece, maybe the 3, 4, 5 kg that they find don't cover the cost of the mine because they are not enough in quality to cover the cost. So it's very difficult to give a complete answer because you have to see the production. But generally speaking, is much, much less than 1% of the ruby that you find, the gem quality.
How do these rubies compare to those from Afghanistan?
But Afghanistan is only a question of mining. Afghanistan comes from Jadelek. The crystallization of Jadelek is not bad. I saw nice piece with the same color of Mogok. But the problem of Jadelek, that is a more difficult area, and they work 100 people. So automatically, the Jadelek ruby become more rare because less people work, less rough, and less gem material. So it's quite impossible in terms of numbers that come out a good ruby from Jadelek, from Afghanistan, not because they don't have the right marble and because they don't have the right people. This is the point. In Mogok, they are working 400,000 people, 400,000 for ruby. So you can imagine that even if you find low quality, before or later you will find good quality. Plus the geological condition of Mogok are very lucky. So, geological speaking, the calcite and the ruby, when it form, is better than a ruby of Lukien in Vietnam. So there is more potential. But also from Lukien can come up sometimes exceptionally one good piece. But this don't mean that the production of Lukien is good. So generally speaking, is a blend of geological condition and amount of workers. Mogok collect most workers in the world that work for ruby. So because the geologic is good, so the consequence that is the best locality where you have a possibility to find the top rubies. No, is two things together: good geology and quantity of workers.
Very good. There was another question.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, tell me.
It was in relation to, I think, cleaning. So what about putting potential ruby containing rock into vats of HCN?
No, what is this question? I didn't understand.
So it's about, I guess, trying to dissolve something that has potentially ruby inside into some kind of acid.
The acid, hydrochloric. No. Imagine they try all the way in Mogok, all the way. Now there are machines, but they still not yet arrive in Mogok, that before to enter the crushing machine, there are machines used in Yangon University where you can see if there is a ruby inside the calcite. So there are like X-ray machine, but much more technology that you can detect the ruby. But the problem is that you need a time to put the calcite in this machine. So the miners need a roller to move the marble, to continuously move, so they cannot lose time. This is the reason why still they use a crushing machine, because they cannot put 1 minute a piece under the machine that control if there is a ruby inside, because you need to control tons and tons of ruby, and these tons of ruby you need 1 year if you put in this machine, and with the crushing machine they can do in 10 minutes. So nonsense to use this technology. And the same for hydrochloric acid. They have to do swimming pool of hydrochloric acid that make toxic. They kill the miner because they become like lakes. So the amount of calcite is so huge that there is They try all the way. They are very clever. What work now in Mogok? Because they try all the system and they realize that this is the best way to find rubies. It's not that they are stupid. They have a contact in all the world, especially in the last 10 years. So when they move to give a trick that people don't know, why they use crushing machine? Because crushing machine, they broken more the ruby than the hammer. If you use a hammer on the calcite, the crystal may be broken less. But when you crush in the machine, it broke more. But the miner calculate that in the crushing machine, the ruby is crushed in the weakest part. So the most strong gemmy part remain together, and this make the money. So they don't care if it broken the ruby, so the crystal is broken, because with the crystal, they can never make the money like a gem. So if the crushing machine broken the crystal, but keep the strongest part, gemmy part, so they make the same money, and they can process 20, 30 times more calcite than the hammer. This is why they pass to the crushing machine. Less workers, no, more quick the work, and they find more ruby, even if more broken, but the good one are there. So the mines is not built for the crystal, the mines are built for the rough gem, for the cuttable gems. This is the explanation of the develop in the last 30 years of the crushing machine.
Very good. There's a question by Ted. He said, why does Liebisch website call the largest ruby crystal King of Freedom, not King of Mogok?
Because some Mogok people, they wanted to call King of Freedom because the work, the dedication, because it's a symbol of the hard life to find the ruby, is like image. Is like an image of dedication of the life for their freedom, or whatever it is. But the name is a King of Mogok, I mean. And this is a pleasure of the local people.
Very good. Someone asked, John Watson, what is the quality of the ruby from Eastern Pami of Tajikistan?
In Tajikistan, the ruby that are in the London crown, the Queen of England, is the famous Tajikistan spinel that many people don't know. But this spinel in the crown, no, the Black Prince ruby, that in reality is a spinel. No, there are two ruby, called ruby, but in reality are spinel. On the back have a color foil, a color that give this crimson color, but in reality is not the color of the spinel. That also is called ruby, because in the ancient time, ruby and spinel was the same. Mm-hmm. Even in Mogok, the spinel, because spinel you find in marble, no, they know that there was more soft, the spinel, because the spinel is softer than ruby. But for the local people, there was all rubies. After 200 years ago, they decided spinel is another gem family, and spinel is spinel, and ruby is ruby. But still in the crown, even in a Tsar of Russia, on the top, there is a spinel, because a spinel have a bigger size. The question that you make me is about of the ruby of Tajikistan. Tajikistan have also ruby, because there is the famous Kulai mine that produces spinel, and this is at 2,700 meters on the sea level. But the ruby mines are 4,700 meters. And they can work only 2 months per year because it's too cold. And now it's completely closed. The previous owner of the mine is my close friend, so I know all the history of this mine, and it's very interesting. Tajikistan ruby are of good quality, can say like Mogok, but zero potential to work because it's too high, the mines. The machine cannot work. you cannot carry people because at 4,700 meters, any movement is harder to do. And if you work 2 months a year, you destroy the other 10 months, you cannot work. So you destroy the machine. So the cost of mining never cover what you find. So this mine in the history lost money. At present is closed because it's not a profitable mine. Ruby is so expensive to find in terms of work that few mines are profitable. Even in Mogok is the same. Most of the mines are losing money. But the Asian people are gamblers, so they like to challenge and to say, I put 3 million, if I win, I take 10 million. So they don't think in a business point of view. They think in the good luck, in the good or bad luck. So this is why also in Mogok they spend millions to mining, because there is the idea of gambling and become super rich in one shot. In other locations in the world, there is a lot of potential, but for climatic reason or for people, maybe there are not enough people that go to work in the mines, you cannot find rubies. So potential is in some location. The problem that to find rubies, you have to destroy mountains. And when you destroy mountains, you have huge cost. It's not like to find quartz, aquamarine, or tourmaline. It's a completely different game. It's a game of money and cost. So if you have no money and if you have no people, no chance to open a ruby mine. This is plus the geological condition around the world to find good rubies are very little. There are not many places. Now they try in Norway to find that there is a mine, but there is only a marketing mine because the rubies are violet, is a marketing operation, but it's not a location where you can find the rubies like in Mogok. But I don't complain, it's a good marketing promotion. There are also rubies there. And so is another locality that add to the few locality of rubies in the world. If you look at the map, you can find aquamarine nearly in every country in the world, tourmaline, fluorite. If you look at the map of the mine, you find in any continent rubies spot. For a simple reason that the chromium, that is the major element that give the color to rubies. The chromium is an element that destroy the crystal. So more chromium you have, more red color you have, but more the crystal is broken. So the chromium work against the crystal. So sapphire, that is a corundum, is the same because a sapphire is the same family of ruby, but because there is a titanium and iron inside that protect the crystal, sapphire you can find much bigger and much cleaner because there is no chromium. So all the gems that have chromium, spinel, ruby, rubellite that can have a part of chromium, you see it's much more difficult to find a rubellite clean than an endicolite or than a green tourmaline, because every time there is a chromium inside the game and the chromium gives the red color, the chromium broken the crystal. This is why rubies are so rare, because the good red colors rubies are mostly broken.
That's an interesting theory.
It's not a theory. It's not a theory. If you ask Eloise, there is Fritsch that is
George
a good
Rossman is also with us, but I'm thinking emerald has chromium. I mean, it's green.
Yes.
But I don't think the more, and this is more of a different discussion, but the more chromium, the more fragile the crystal can be. I think that's the crystal has a limited amount of chromium that can have. So I don't. That might be your experience from the field, which I think is a valid point. I just don't know if we can really prove that.
You see, by reality, Raquel, the emerald that you say that have chromium is true because chromium make red and green. Emerald is the most included and cracked stone in the market, and is beryllium because emerald is a beryllium. In aquamarine, you have a completely different kind of clarity. Why? Chromium. But this is not a theory. I heard from many scientists, and I saw with my eyes that when there is chromium, the crystal is more cracked. So it's more difficult to have a gem quality. And they are more appreciated. Gems with chromium are more appreciated.
I totally hear you. Actually, George Rossman, he just wrote, there is also the ionic radius difference between chromium and alumina. Maybe this has an effect. So it's an interesting theory. I wish we can prove it because I think it makes sense. It's just it's interesting. Anyhow.
Come on, Mineral Talks Live Research Project. We'll get George Rossman, we'll get John Rakovan, we'll get on this, we'll figure it out.
They have all, because there is a scamologist, they want all to have a fighting discussion. No, I know more. No, it's like that.
So let's carry a few more things. So Anna asked on the chat, does the chromium change the crystal structure in some way? And George replied, yes, it does. And we got there's a lot of research out there. So there is two more questions, if we can do it, Brian and Eloise, if you don't mind.
Oh God, I never mind long shows, obviously.
No, Eloise has to go, but we have another one by Anna. She said the majority of the rubies in Mogok are found in marble and put through the crusher. Are also some found in gravel, like in other locations?
Mogok was the history of gems, because Mogok is the history because it is nearly 2,000 years. Like another location is Sri Lanka, that Sri Lanka is all secondary deposit. In reality, how was found in the past the gems? There is a very simple way. The people who was walking around the rivers, they see some pebbles of color pebbles, and this was the way to find gems. So the first deposit work was not the primary deposit, but was the secondary deposit on the valley, inside the valley where there are the rivers. There are some locations where the rivers slow down, so the heavy gems slow down in this situation. It was finding there the gems. Mogok, before the 60 years before now, 99% of the mines was secondary, inside the valley, not in the marble, not in the mother rock. The mother rock was a necessity when they start to understand that most of the valley was work and there was a finish to find the gems, nearly finished, they start to understand where come from the gems and say, oh no, come from this mountain. And so they start to make the tunnels. But the story of the tunnels, so the mother rock of Mogok, is quite young, because before was a simple way of digging the base of each valley in Mogok. And they didn't find only ruby, because in each valley you find a spinel, zircon, tourmaline, whatever it is, because Mogok have all the color gems possible in the field of gem, exclude emerald. If you exclude emerald, all the other gems, aquamarine, tourmaline, whatever rare stone, there is an amount of species unbelievable. It's the only location in the world, because if you go to Tanzania, you find only tanzanite or spinel in a different location. So most of the locations around the world have only one specific gem and finish. Mogok is like a school for a gemologist, because when you go to open market and they come the miner and they show you something, you have to recognize in 1 second between 1,000 of species. So it's a gemological school also to learn, not only for make business. I mean, interesting from many point of view.
That was my last question, and I was personal, is how many mineral species do we find? Because I know we have been focusing just on rubies. Yes. But I know from Bill Larson's collection, who also have been collecting in Mogok.
Great Bill is listening. I'm sure he's listening. Super. Bill also have a huge experience and even unique experience. Bill. There are really few people in the world. They have the chance, like Bill, to go many times there and to build a true experience. So the people that got the possibility to make this experience got really a virus of gems, because is the complete world you find in Mogok. And when you see that you go to the bakery shop, you don't buy only cakes, but they offer you gems. So whatever you go, there is, because they are all there for only this business, but there are restaurant, hotel, there are all the activity, normal activity, but beside their activity, they have gems. So is something very, no, they put the virus 100 times in your blood, no?
We got to stop talking about the virus during the pandemic.
The pandemic is better to change.
The gem mineral virus that comes.
No, you can be immunized with a new vaccine, maybe.
Brian, I think this is it from the questions. Unless Eloise, I don't know if you have any.
No, I was just answering another question. So Federico is localized in Bangkok right now. He's not in Italy. That was the last question. That's it. So yeah, thank you very much, Federico.
I'm in Bangkok because I was blocked by COVID 3 years ago. They blocked me after they never opened, and they opened only 1 month ago. And so now I can restart to move. This is the reason. And anyway, it's not so bad to stay in Bangkok because it's a lovely location and is the world center for color gemstone. Because Bangkok is the #1 location for ruby, sapphire, spinel. Most of my friends are here. Now I'm retirement, but I can enjoy with these people because it's the world of gems, no? So everybody have his history. They keep you in the coffee shop for hours to tell funny history. At the end, it's not boring. It's a lovely place.
Okay. Federico, sorry, I have one more question by Ben. What are your thoughts between Sri Lanka and Vietnamese rubies?
But Vietnamese rubies are better than Sri Lanka, this I have to say, because Sri Lanka is the country of sapphires. Is not really, sometimes appear good quality ruby, but very rarely. I can say, even if Vietnamese, for me, are not in the top of the hill because they have a shade of pink that is less attractive, much less attractive than Mogok rubies, but still some Vietnamese rubies are much better than Sri Lanka rubies. I can say Vietnamese are more specialized in cabochon rubies or star rubies because the gem quality rubies are not so many. Anyway, better quality than the Sri Lanka. Today, there is a locality that is Mozambique, is Montepus in Mozambique, that produce the vast majority of rubies around the world. But also here, but what mean compared to Mogok, Mogok is another planet for beauty. But in terms of clarity and in terms of production, today Mozambique have a huge production and very nice clarity. But when you have a Mogok ruby, to buy a Mogok ruby is something like I want the Rolls Royce. You can have other cars, but I want the Rolls. Finish. How much cost? Okay, I pay the Rolls. No, there are the lovers of this kind of material. It is a brand name. Is the same like when you say Kashmir sapphire. if you think for a second, only the name Kashmir, you think at your dress that is smooth, no, the Kashmir, you know, and Kashmir sapphire. Still, this name is driving the market in sapphire price. It's very rare to find the top Kashmir sapphire, but when you find, is really smooth and can make unbelievable price. There is a very clear among, professional dealers in sapphire and ruby. There is a very clear steps category that, there is no discussion, there is no doubt about Mogok or about Kashmir. There is no doubt. It's like that. And after, it's possible to have a very bad quality Mogok ruby because only a small part is nice. So you can have a low quality Mogok ruby and Sri Lanka good top quality ruby because it happened. But general speaking, a top Mogok ruby with a top Sri Lanka, there is zero competition. No way. Is recognized by all. And this is why it's paid much more than other location. Not because Mogok is special, because it's more beautiful. It's more beautiful and people like. So at the end, even in gems, people pay the beauty. It's not that is enough the name. An ugly Mogok ruby still remain ugly. And, it's like an ugly lady. If you make a nice makeup, it can be little better, but still is like that.
We're gonna leave it there.
Federico, I told you you had to be good on this show.
But we are lucky. We are lucky because we have Kashmiri, like they say, the Indian, no? Kashmiri and Mogok ladies tonight.
Federico, thank you so much. Actually, I forgot the story of the amber. That was really good.
The amber, you forgot
that one. I forgot.
The time that I gave you this and you passed to the scientist. I forgot even the name. It was nice, man. That he kept the amber for 2 years to make the research. 2 years because they have to make the peer review, the research. It's complicated process. It's not simple. But in the end, the Saurus come out. The Saurus of my body.
That was good. That's great. Oh, well.
Okay.
I shut up now.
Oh, God. No, never, never. Hey, that's going to bring an end to our show today. Fantastic show. Federico, thank you so much for coming on the show. For those of you who want to know more, and again, I'm going to put it up here, check out the film. It's free to check out. Raquel put the URL in the chat room, but the shortcut is mineralfilms.com/Mogok. And we're going to take you all through Mogok, and you're going to see a great variety of minerals in addition to rubies, all coming from Mogok. For those of you who are interested, look up Federico Barlocher on YouTube. That's what his YouTube page looks like. Of course, the Mogok film's at the top of the page, but go through the postings and you'll find all kinds of incredible videos there. So Federico, thank you so much. All you viewers, thank you for tuning in and hanging out with us for an hour and 43 minutes. Have a fantastic June.
Is every time nice to have nice lady together, because I'm happy to have a nice lady because make happy life.
Absolutely. They make the show happen. All right. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you in July. Ciao.
Ciao, Bella.
Thank you.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, Federico.